Hello again, everyone. It's This Week in Agribusiness meteorologist Greg Solier. We're back in for Max Armstrong. Welcome to Farm Progress Dateline Drought. Our continuing coverage of the drought of 2012 is brought to you by Genuity Drought Guard Hybrids. Anything but a drought pattern out across parts of the West and the Pacific Northwest now and for the foreseeable future. The upper air wind currents, the jet stream pattern taking on the look and feel of what we saw here many years ago in those storm-driven El Nino cycles. And that's the way it plays out moisture-wise into areas of California, the Pacific Northwest. The next 5 to 7 days, they'll dump a foot, maybe a foot and a half of rain and water-equivalent moisture out of some of those gauges out there. Think of the snowfall and the snowpack across the Cascades, the Sierra Ranges. Those kind of storms have been absent for the better part of 15 to 18 months into sections of the Central Rockies. That runoff issue certainly playing out with the extreme dryness, drought, and certainly streams and rivers down to virtually nothing over sections of the Cornhusker State. Despite recent moisture gains into some sections of northern Plain States areas of South Dakota and into Big Sky Country, wide swinging temperatures as well. Boy, that winter wheat crop is in dire predicaments. 30, maybe 40% of that crop may not germinate. Now, there is a little more action to the maps and charts there, but I don't think we're going to get enough moisture or warmth to get things to where they need to be before or exclusive of dormancy into sections of the plains. And, of course, moisture much needed. We need an incredibly wet weather pattern that plays out for weeks, perhaps several months into areas of the Great Plains. Don't see that happening perhaps on the scale that we need to end the drought, but there are signs that over the second half of December and into early next year, better moisture-making prospects and possibilities into areas of the Great Plains. Now, in the short term of it, over the next probably 5 days, look at the focus of moisture across the West. Tough to see, but these precipitation lines and circles and height lines, if you will, are in the 10, maybe 15-inch range, centered across the Sierra. Hardly anything to speak of across and on the plains, much of the Midwest. Some of this, a bit of rain and snow into sections of the northern Great Lakes and the eastern Canadian prairies. So from really the divide on westward, that's where the moisture plays out here in the next 5 days or so. This map may get me in trouble for its long-winded explanation, but in any event, see the green lines. That's the jet stream pattern. Big trough here, an upper air storm across the Gulf of Alaska. A little more trough it is into the eastern part of the country. Weather systems organized from the Mississippi here, and they move ashore into the Pacific Northwest. This is an indicator of more wet weather issues in the Pacific Northwest and not much across the plains. Look at the warmth. No sign of any winter-type cold over the next 6 to 10 days, and precipitation again focused Pacific Northwest, northern plains, parts of the Great Lakes region. That's a check on weather. On to Bryce Knorr now and a look at markets.
Two-sided trading was the name of the game on Wednesday, for better or for worse. Everything from stocks to soybeans was on a roller coaster. Wheat prices benefited the most in the grain complex, overcoming profit-taking into the pit open in Chicago after yesterday's big rally. Then the market shot back higher, ending the session with modest gains at all three exchanges. More concerns about dry conditions on the plains supported prices, along with signs that stocks are tightening around the world. Brazil gave indications it will import more wheat from non-traditional sources due to a shortfall in Argentina. Brazil bought some German wheat last week, and more originations from the northern hemisphere could be in the offing. Traders aren't looking for a big week of export sales, however, with the average guess from tomorrow's report around 16.5 million bushels for wheat. That didn't faze futures, however. Chicago December closed up 3 cents at 8.76. Kansas City gained 2.5 to 9.18 1/4, and Minneapolis also finished 2.5 higher at 9.38 3/4. Corn also survived a back-and-forth session to post gains. The latest ethanol production data showed output dropping 7,000 barrels a day in the latest week, knocking 600,000 barrels off inventories. Year-to-date totals are still on track to meet the USDA's forecast for the marketing year, however. Traders see export sales dropping in tomorrow's weekly report, though they still may be enough to reach the rate forecast by USDA. December futures closed up a quarter at $7.60 1/4. Soybeans couldn't maintain their upward momentum, but the trouble didn't come from fundamentals. USDA confirmed the sale of 10.7 million bushels to China under its daily reporting system for large purchases, and tomorrow's export sales tally from the previous week is expected to run around 23 million bushels. Weather still shows some problems in South America, keeping big yields off the table for now. Instead, the trouble with beans seemed to stem from chart-related selling. Futures again failed to hold the gap breached yesterday, falling short of moving average and trendline resistance as well. January futures ended the day off 3 cents at 14.46 1/4. Keep up with the drought situation across the country by visiting www.datelinedrought.com.